In a world enamored by Hollywood, its celebrities, their paradigms and ideals, is this where it's at? Join me each week as we discover the deeper meaning, an alternate spark to Hollywood's love, paparazzi, relationships, and empowerment. Yes, my friend, I am sparked by Hollywood. Hollywood claims a stage for empowerment. They claim that celebrities will show us how. They will be our prime examples. And yet, isn't there more? We have celebrities amongst us, neighbors, friends, who have a potent story, a strong voice of empowerment as they inspire, help, and change the lives of those around them. Something far beyond what Hollywood can produce. Welcome to the Sparked by Hollywood Empower series. Thanks for joining the Sparked by Hollywood podcast Empower series number 3. Today, I'm joined by an incredible woman, Mrs. Miriam Spira, who has created empowerment for others as she healed from her own wounds. Welcome, Miriam.
Hi.
Let's start off by you telling my listeners a little background about yourself.
Awesome. So like you said, my name is Miriam Spira. I'm about 25 years old. I grew up in Borough Park. I grew up very Hasidish. At around 16, 17, I just realized that, we grew up like in a real bubble. And I just realized there's a different world out there of people not like us. And when we grow up in the bubble we grow up in, it's like you don't realize there's other people in this world. It's just fascinating how they do it in 2023, but they do. And I ended up, I was in a very Hasidic school, and I ended up going to England just so I can get away and experience, something else. And I went to Manchester Seminary. And that's where I became very close to the people in the community, not Hasidic people. And I realized, wow, like I connected much more with that lifestyle that wasn't so restricted. And I just literally realized that's the kind of life I wanted. And then I was there until I was 19. I came back to New York. I got engaged and married at 19. I am here, married almost 6 years with 2 little kids. And I am living that modern Orthodox lifestyle that I always wanted to since, I realized there was something else, and I couldn't be any happier. This is separate from the group, but it's not easy to reestablish your life, but it's very nice to know that you can do it. There's so many people that leave the community and think they have to leave everything behind. You don't need to. But here's what I saw growing up. So I've been through sexual abuse myself. I've gone through something, and I didn't see much support in the community. And especially the community I come from, that's like a different story. It's so hush hush. Nobody talks about it. I know they're saying, they're coming out more and more these days with support and everything, but it's still not there. And I'm honestly not focusing on the Hasidic community, but obviously there's a lot to do there. I am now, living in Florida. I lived in New York 3 years. Then I moved to Florida 3 years ago, and I was part of a support group back in New York, probably like in 2019. And I realized, like, when I moved to Florida, I was like, wow, I want to open that kind of support group here. And that's when I teamed up with Racheli Teichman. She is an incredible therapist that specializes in trauma, and we teamed up together to build Empower. And she has led several support groups in the past, so she has tons of experience. She has over 20 years besides for that in trauma experience. But it's not like you walk in the street and everybody wears a sign like I've been abused. It's actually something that nobody talks about. Like really, really, it's not like, I'm not going to say people with eating disorders or people with drug abuse do go around talking, but it's a lot more like people can know that you've been through that, because it becomes a lot more public, things like that, because people can see it. But with child sexual abuse, most people don't know that you've been through it. It's like this thing that you really, really keep deep inside you. Not that you should be ashamed of it, but that's the kind of feeling that comes along with it, guilt. And when I was looking into opening this group, I was just like imagining a group of friends. Now, obviously, whoever joins the group, it's a choice. Like, you can keep the friendship here, you can take it out. Like, nobody's forced to do anything. You can just sit in the support group with a smile on your face. You don't even have to talk if you don't feel comfortable. Like, it's really a beautiful sense of camaraderie in the group. But
Amazing.
The whole point of it was share all these feelings that come up and get a lot of support for it. So Yeah,
That's great. So
that's
in
like in a
case,
nutshell.
yeah, no, I love it. In case any of the listeners didn't hear, the name of your group is called Empower. Can you tell us a little bit more why you started it? Like, why did you see a need to support women? I know you said you went to you were part of a support group back in New York. When you came to Florida, you saw a need for it. Why is there so much of a need? And what do you focus on in these groups and in this support realm of other women who have been through this experience?
Great question. Why is there a need? So unfortunately, something like this, child sexual abuse, affects literally your daily life. I know it for myself. I know it from so many other people who have gone through it. And you don't talk about it with your regular peers most of the time. Even if you do, I'm sure everybody's got that good friend or good family. They won't understand you like somebody who's been through it
Mhm.
themselves. And to come in to these groups once every 2 weeks and to just be like, oh my God, like I've never had a group where some like people didn't have what to say. Everyone's like, I've been waiting for this. Like, oh my God, like they literally just like unload themselves, but in a very healthy way because we have a therapist on board that leads the group. And she obviously makes sure that everybody, stays on track and there's no hurting nobody. There's no too much triggering. Of course, everybody's going to get a little bit, things will come up because we are
Right.
talking about things that happen in your daily life, but that's the need for it because you can share these things with the people around you most of the time. What was your second question?
Why you
What's
saw
the
the
need?
need to start it here in Florida? I mean, it sounds like these people were waiting for you to move down here so that you could start the support group
Thank
for them.
you. When I moved down to Florida, it was 2020, the year of we won't talk about
Mass
it.
exodus.
Yeah, exactly. I moved from New York. I was so done. And I just knew it had to happen. I had a baby that, like, I got pregnant in 2020, had a baby in 2021. I literally started planning it in 2020, but it ended up just coming out in 2023 because I had like two babies and it was just my life got crazy. But
Hmm.
it literally was 3 years into planning. But um, I knew that there's a need. I knew that I'm not going to go around and people will be like, oh, I was abused. I was abused. Nobody goes around talking like that. Nobody. You won't see that. It's not typical. But when people see this, flyer advertised and they were like, oh my God, I didn't know this thing existed. I didn't know there's such a thing as a group where I can just literally be so open and comfortable. I've got so many people reaching out to me and like saying things like, I didn't know such a thing existed. And they're literally like so happy. And they're like, I never even talked about it with anyone before. Now, there are actually like rules kind of to join the group, which is
Hmm.
one of them is you do need to be in therapy or have been to therapy because we don't want this to be somebody's therapy. This is the next step. This is the stepping stone of just everyday life after you are currently, working through your trauma or have already worked through it. So, yeah, we do want to make sure people have somebody they can talk to if something comes up for them.
So their
But
main focus of healing is not specifically in the group.
exactly, exactly. It's
It's
just more a sense of kinship, a sense of belonging, a sense of everybody really feels for each other. Everyone gives and takes at the same time. It's not like somebody's talking the whole time. It's like everybody is so supportive. Obviously there's HIPAA and confidentiality, so I can't I
mm,
can't talk much about,
of
what goes
course.
on in these
Yeah,
groups, but if you're out there and you've been through something, reach out to me because this is going to change your life, you know?
I love it. Amazing. I've heard you say that survivors turn to thrivers. Can you give us more context into this?
Sure. Nobody likes the word survivor, to be honest. Like, oh, I'm a survivor. No, like we want to be like thrivers. We're not victims. Like you know, as much as like we want to get the term out there, like, yes, you're a survivor of child sexual abuse, we don't like to think of ourselves like that. And ask anybody that's been through it. They don't like, oh, I'm a survivor. You know, in a way, there is a positive connotation, like, wow, I survived it. But like we're thrivers because we took our trauma and these people I meet, they're incredible. They took their trauma and they just like most of these girls, they have gone on to something big. They're making differences, like helping other people, social workers, doctors. Like they are really incredible people, one by one. I've never ever met somebody that's been through a trauma. Even if somebody's listening to this and they're like, "Oh wow, I'm at such a low point in my life," you don't know where it's going to take you. This is going to turn you into a thriver. I know. And it's not your fault that it happened to you, but It's going to do that to you. It's going to make you very strong, even though it's not obviously what you wanted, it's going to. And these people thrive. So, and survivors turn thrivers when they're in a setting where they feel supported. And, there's situations where you feel so down because of what happened to you.
Mhm.
Like I'm saying, it's not your fault, and you can feel all these guilt feelings and whatever. But when you're in such a group where it's happened to everyone, you're like, hey, I'm not so different. Hey, nobody here is at fault. And you can see also things in other people and yourself, like, hey, it wasn't their fault. Well, it's not also my fault.
It
And
normalizes it.
you reflect off of other people, seeing
Mhm.
other people going through what you're going through. You can really reflect. And I want to say something. I see a lot of people, they're like, oh, I just want to move on in my life. Like, I don't
Mhm.
want to be part of a support group. I just want to move on. And I want to say something. I've moved on. I am thriving. I have really moved on. This is when I was 17. I'm 25 now.
Mhm.
And I've definitely moved on, but we can't deny that these feelings come up every day. Not in a way where I'm in bed crying, but in a way where like, hey, I just want to talk about it. And it's a feeling of empowerment. That's why that's the group name. It's not even sad. Nobody's ever crying on the group. Not that crying is bad, but we're all like actually smiling and most of the times happy. Yes, feelings do come up, but the end of the day, that's the feeling that everybody leaves with, a sense of fulfillment. So yeah, even if you want to move past your trauma, that doesn't mean you can't be part of a support group. You don't have to think that
Absolutely.
it's a label. It's not a label. It's just like amazing, amazing to be part of a group of people that support you.
Yes, absolutely. And I know that you also have beyond your support group like sessions, you also have outings as a group. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah. So, um, we do outings like, we just launched, we have one group at the moment, and we're
Mhm.
actually probably going to be planning our first. We had already two meetings,
Mhm.
regular clinical directed meetings, and then now we are probably going to be planning something fun. We haven't planned it yet, but I have some really cool ideas.
Okay, so it's gonna
Um,
happen.
it's going to happen. Yeah,
Okay.
it hasn't happened yet. It's going to happen, but in the past support groups that I've been to, there was like outings like going to a spa, going to you know, bringing down a speaker. Obviously we take votes and we want to make sure everybody's interested, and we
Mhm.
don't want it to be like, oh, I'm not in the mood of a speaker. It's something that everybody unanimously votes on.
Mhm.
But I was thinking actually something like beach yoga because it's so meditative and I've done it and it's so amazing. So
Mhm.
I'm actually leaning towards that, hiring a yoga instructor and doing some yoga on the beach. And it's just really nice because when you do yoga, a part of it is mindfulness and meditation, and things can come up. So, like, afterwards, we can all talk about it, you
Yes.
know?
While you're
Um,
connecting with nature, and nature itself is so healing. So it's incredible
100%.
to be in that kind of setting. I'm curious what feelings come up for you, Miriam, as you're helping all these women. Because it's one thing to emerge from some experience that you've had yourself, but really tapping into everyone's potential to grow and thrive. I'm curious what that does for you.
Um, it really humbles me, honestly, seeing people in my group. It humbles me to like beyond an extent that I can explain. I am just so proud. Like I can't explain. Like I feel like there's no words for these feelings, but I'm just so proud of everyone that joins these meetings. I'm, by the way, 100% part of it as well. I participate.
Mhm.
I am not in any way a leader. I just formed it, but I'm a part of the group and I contribute just as much. And it's just everybody who joins just amazes me how they thrive. And I do want to say, because a lot of people that have been through these abusive circumstances, they think they're not thriving, but they are all thriving in some sort of way. I want everyone to know that. And the feelings that come up is just, like I said, really, really proud, really humbled that these people have what kind of life these people have made for themselves and just for what they've been through. Um, I also, like, I just want to make a difference in as many people's lives as I can. I'm not, I think I've told you this before, Deborah. Like, I'm not looking to change the world. I'm just looking to make a difference in one person's life at a time. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm not looking to go global. I just want to like slowly as it comes. I've had actually several different age groups of women reaching out to me, and
Mhm.
we can't possibly have, let's say, middle-aged women and women in their 20s and teen years in the same group because it's just not a relatable lifestyle. And
Mhm.
you won't, we want people to relate to each other. But I've had a lot of women reaching out to me middle age that have never even talked about this. And I mean, I honestly want to open a group for them too. I really do, because
Right.
I have a lot of these women I haven't yet opened for them, but this would also be facilitated by Racheli Teichman, and that's just something down the line I'm thinking of. These women were like, wow, like if you guys open a group for my age, like let me know. Like they never
So
even
this
knew
is
such a
middle
thing.
age group.
Middle age group. Like
Mhm.
it's that's what humbles me so much that women my age and younger are reaching out and around this age to help
Mhm.
themselves so it doesn't come to like middle age and feeling so lost. Because can you believe it? Middle-aged women, like I
They've
said, it
lived
doesn't
all
ever
those
leave.
years.
It's all these years, it never goes away.
Yeah. And do you have a vision for this group? I know you're working one person at a time. You want to make a
Yeah,
difference one person at a time, but do you see a vision for this group for the next 2 years, 3 years, 5 years?
I do. I do. I want to. So the groups are small, intimate. It's very important.
Mhm.
Once we get about 7 members, we close off. Nobody can join
Mhm.
because, like I said, we're a group of friends now. And yeah, so we have our first group and we're forming already our second. And my vision is to just do as many, I guess, groups as I possibly can. I want to always remain intimate. I don't want to become corporate. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to remain an intimate group that, doesn't get lost by like an organization brand or something. Like, it's very important for me to just really keep it small. Like now, if we need to expand, because like I said, there's a need, I will in the proper way. But I don't want to become this kind of corporate organization that kind of loses its way in itself. Not that these corporate organizations do. I think every organization out there is incredible,
Mhm.
but I just see with something like this, with sexual abuse, it's very important to keep it very personal. So in the next 5 years, I just hope to open a couple more in Florida. My focus is Florida. Empower South Florida. That's, our name.
Fantastic.
And yeah, I mean, if somebody wants to open in a different state, I will help them through it. But I'm just focusing on Florida because I
Look at
think,
that.
this
Yeah,
is
you're
where I
ready to
live. And
branch out where you see the need. It's
yeah,
it's fabulous. I'm completely blown away by your courage, not only to get over your own adversaries in your own life, but to create gold out of your wounds and at the same time help other people do so as well. Do you have any last words of wisdom that you want to share with my audience?
I have so many last words. I think that for anybody, abused or not abused, I feel like we can be a little bit more accepting and tolerant. For example, I feel like I know where there's like this whole Me Too movement and it really got dulled down. But there's something about being believed. And when you ever come into a situation where somebody does tell you something, believe them. You know why? Because even if they're making it up, there's a
Mhm.
reason for that. And usually they're not. Usually there's something that happened. Maybe they're adding pieces because they want you to actually care about it.
Mhm.
But I think people should believe more. When something happens, there is so much. I know there's Me Too movement, but I don't think it really I think it actually dulled it down instead of positively impacting everyone. It made everyone be like,
It
oh, okay,
did.
me too.
Yeah.
Um,
People also came out like years later, and then you wonder what their motives are.
right. And I understand that, but in like the thousands of people, unfortunately, I'm not gonna say thousands, but in like literally hundreds of people that I met that have been abused, they're not lying. They're really, really not lying. Believe them. I'm not saying these stories don't happen, but it's
Hmm.
not it's not as typical as you think it is. It's more typical that it did happen. Unfortunately, it's literally 1 in 3 women, 1 in 3. That is
Wow.
insane statistics. So that was number one, believe people, and this is for everybody. And then if you've actually been through something yourself, be proud of yourself for where you are. It's not your fault what happened. And you are incredible just for standing here today. And if you're listening to this and you've been through something, just know you're incredible. I feel like we could do better to support people that have been through child sexual abuse. That's just on my mind. And then I
Absolutely.
can't I can't go around telling it all day to people. I can just say it here. This is the only space I can say it.
Oh, absolutely. I'm happy that this is a good platform for you. So if anyone's listening to this and they want to reach out to you, what's the best way they can reach you?
So there are 2 ways you can reach out to me. you can literally text me at 347-683-2749. So that's 347-683-2749. I just really hope I won't be spammed, but reach out to me and I will send you my email address and we'll take it from there. See the steps that need to get you part of this group.
Phenomenal. Can they find you online? Is there an Empower website or on
Not
social
yet.
media?
No Empower website yet. Literally just a phone number and an email address.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, we just started. We're keeping it small and intimate for now. Eventually, we will open a website and everything,
Mm-hmm.
but we're focusing literally on the actual support group right now. Down the line, we will open a website and social media,
Mm-hmm.
but for now, this is where our impact matters at the groups. So reach out
Incredible.
to my cell phone number, or it's empowersouthfloridagroup@gmail.com. That's it, empowersouthfloridagroup@gmail.com.
Phenomenal. Anyone who wants to reach out to Miriam, she's an incredible personality. This is just like a small nugget of what you get when you speak to her. And if there's any way that Miriam can help you, definitely reach out to her. Miriam, it's really been a pleasure chatting. I really wish you tremendous luck in all your endeavors and really only happiness and blessings in your life.
Thank you so much, Deborah. It's actually been an absolute pleasure. I love your podcast voice. I really do. You
Thank
have an
you.
incredible podcast voice. Yeah, I look forward to talking again.
Thank you for joining me for today's episode. If you are loving the Spark by Hollywood podcast, kindly leave me a 5-star review on the platform that you're listening on. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at Sparked by Hollywood. That's where the conversations happen. That's where I give you extra content on all my episodes and where you can send me your feedback, your comments, and questions. And finally, in a world where we are all enamored by the spark of Hollywood and its celebrities, always remember your own spark that you carry within you that makes you the gift that the world needs to shine that much brighter. I'll catch you in the next episode.